on here. I hope you guys are doing good today. So, what's up, Marty Jones? Number one, man. See this? Look at this. Look at this. It all is tied together, man. So glad to see you. I hope you're healing up well, Marty. I miss you, man, and hoping to get something cooking out in the UK, out in 2023. I'm really trying to work on that. So you and I should get on the phone sometime soon. What is up, people? You can all hit me up in the chat. Love to hear from you. Roll call. I know Marty Jones is up there in England, in the UK. Where's everybody else watching from? Love to talk to you guys. I want to talk about something. Actually, Marty Jones and I have a common coach in Billy Robinson. Marty was from Billy Robinson's very first class of athletes, and I am his last real student. So I wanted to talk about something that he impressed all the time. What's up, Frankie Bay? You are from Dothan, Alabama. Welcome. Happy to see you, man. I've never been to Alabama. I'd love to get out there sometime. Just got back from Tennessee, spent a couple days in Nashville with the family. That was fun. It wasn't really planned. We got stranded by Southwest. I love Southwest. I fly Southwest all the time. But boy, they've been playing hell with bookings sometimes. I've gotten stranded 2 times the last year. I fly a lot. I mean, I've been in that time, I've probably flown over 50 flights, and I've only had 2 strandings, so that's not too bad. But so I wanted to talk about something Billy Robinson really liked to impress, and Billy was very sparse with praise. He never never said you were doing good, but that's something that was passed to him by his coach Billy Riley. Billy Riley, he said, my job as a coach is not to tell you what is not to kiss your butt and coddle you and all that. My job as a coach is to help you improve. And so in the pursuit of improvement, right? Improving means getting better, not coasting. Now, I do think it's important to keep people motivated, and everybody's got their own way of doing things. But the thing is if you don't compliment all the time, when you do, it really means something. And Billy really gave me 2 compliments. One is kind of a burden, but I love it. Pressure. I've always considered pressure to be a privilege. And it's really what I want to talk about today. Learning how to learn and how to unlearn. I think this is crucial. So Billy was always famous for saying, you must learn how to learn. There's tons of videos. People have all taken it up after him and whatnot. And it's super crucial, right? You have to learn how to learn. What is the right way, the fastest way, the most efficient way to acquire new skills, skill acquisition? There's actually a whole there's psychologists that do study expertise acquisition. How do you become an expert? And I've quoted their material quite a bit, going all the way back to my Say Uncle book in 2011. You can check that out there. My most recent book about modern catch as catch can, that has a bunch of the material in there. So I think that would help you as well. So I don't know. Check it out. That would be fantastic if you did. You can go to scientificwrestling.com. I think in the instructionals, it's the first book there. $7. Digital download. You can have it instantly. Anyway, learning how to learn. And then I want to add unlearning, because sometimes it's just as important to be able to unlearn. Now, Billy's not the only one to touch on this subject. There are a ton of quotes. Let me bring up a couple. The one that I always think about first is from what was his name? Toffler? Yeah, Alvin Toffler, the futurist. He said, the illiterate of the future are not those who can't read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So let me ask you guys, right? I'm curious on your take. What do you think is the best way to learn? Type in the chat. Just What do you think is the best way to learn? How do you learn best? Let me put it that way, because sometimes people don't understand. Different people learn different ways. What is the way that you learned best? Anybody? Throw it out there. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, if you're on LinkedIn, if you're on Twitter, I can actually post up with your name, your comment. If you're on Instagram, I will just read it. D Sanders 94 says the best way to learn is to listen. Okay, yeah, I think that is a fantastic, and clearly that works for you. So I appreciate your input. Listening, I think that's a huge component, right? It's hard to listen while you're talking, huh? And it's hard to listen if you're having two conversations at the same time. You know what I'm talking about? Sorry, somebody was jumping in on Clubhouse. I'm on Clubhouse too. So anyway, I'm all over the place. I'm trying to get this out as far and wide as possible. So learning. Polar Bear Grappler says Gardner's multiple intelligence theory. All Trades Ltd. Hey Jake, what's up? So okay, Polar Bear Grappling, tell me about Gardner's multiple intelligence theory. I'm assuming it's something to do with the fact that there are different like emotional intelligence or test taking intelligence or physical intelligence. I'm not sure though. I'm not familiar with it. But what I am good at, and this is, we're getting back to the compliment. Billy Robinson never gave compliments. I mean, he's kind of famous for it. So in one fell swoop, we were filming a video, but he just threw it out there, and I was like, oh my god! I'm like trying not to drop the camera because he said something really, really great. He said, Jake is a great learner, which to me, coming from Billy, Mr. Learn to Learn, that was the greatest compliment that he could have given me. Jake is a great learner. And then he went on to say, and without a doubt, because of him, Catch as Catch Can is going to come back in a big way or something. I can't remember exactly, but it's pretty close. So both of those are huge compliments, and I take them very deep. I mean, there's like they rank up there with me getting my master's in financial math, right? Like this is a huge accomplishment for me and huge praise from Billy in my mind. So, what does it mean to be a great learner? Right? What does it mean to be a great learner? So is it listening? I think listening is a component, but maybe something like active listening. One of the tricks I learned early on, I remember I was in, as an undergraduate, I hated math. I avoided math. Now, high school, I was pretty good. I never made it to calculus, but I did pretty good. So Polar Bear Grappling says, exactly as you said, people learn better when it's framed in the confines of their predominant intelligences. Okay, yeah. So I think that's one thing when you're a coach or a teacher that you do have to intuitively understand that everybody's different. Everybody learns differently. I also think there's something, now there's, in the Gallup organization, they do all the polls and whatnot. They have something called the Clifton Strength Finder. And their whole premise is that you should coach people to their strengths. And I believe that. I do believe that. I think if you decide to start coaching somebody, that if you coaching to somebody's weakness, you're in for a long, arduous, and probably you're in for failure. Going to be real. I think you need to coach to people's strengths and then slowly help them with their weaknesses as well, right? D Sanders 94 took the strength. Okay, yeah, I did too. And guess what? My predominant style, learner. So Billy was a great coach. He could really hone in on people's strengths. I have it somewhere here. Let me see if I can bring it up. I hope this isn't messing up the stream for YouTube. Let's see here. Assessments. I have a folder with all these weird assessments I take. Clifton Strengths. So yeah, my top 5 themes: learner, achiever, competition, activator, and communication. So you'll probably have to get into the Clifton Strengths to understand all that kind of stuff. But I do believe that you should coach to people's strengths, right? So what is the best way to learn? So one of the things with regards to listening, a trick that I picked up, and it has served me incredibly well. And this is so many of these are just tricks to help your brain process the information better. Now, I want you to understand I am a good learner. So I'm not bragging. If it's true, it's not bragging, right? So, I graduated high school, ended up getting a leadership scholarship, went to a prestigious leadership program. Only, I think, 25 of the incoming 15,000 freshmen. I mean, that percentage is like basis points. I got into this program. It paid for my college. I wouldn't have been able to afford to go to the University of Colorado Boulder otherwise. I was deathly afraid of doing higher math. I did well in algebra 2, but then that's kind of where I quit, and ended up getting an English degree. And I want to talk a little bit about what I learned in English, how it helped me. But while I'm there, I'm avoiding math. So I did have to hit some math requirements to graduate. So I took this class called Spirits and Uses of Math, which actually was a great math class because mostly, my experience in math through the public school system was learning it just, here's this workbook, work through the problems, watch it, and it's just mechanical. You didn't really understand the application. You didn't understand how it was developed. And, this was a huge asset to me going into this class because I'm going to tell you, I avoided math all through undergraduate except for this class, okay, because I needed it to graduate. And one of my roommates who was doing great, and now he runs Thrasher Magazine, Michael Burnett, great guy, super successful. But I remember being in this class and I was struggling and I just was like, dude, how are you not falling asleep in this class? And he gave me a great trick. You ready for this? He said, when the teacher is talking, and maybe this is a no-brainer for you guys. To me, this was so brilliant. It changed my life. A simple trick. He says, when the teacher is talking, I repeat what he's saying in my head. Think about this. Because if you're repeating what he's saying, you're actively listening. You're not just sitting there waiting for something to go off in your head to be triggered by what he's saying. Instead, you're actually going through and repeating everything that this person who is teaching you something, what they are saying. That was a huge shift for me. So much so that I started applying it to everything. And, I was already a fairly good learner, but this really helped me learn in an auditory sense. I was always good at learning by reading and watching, but I wasn't that great at listening until my friend taught me this trick. Okay, try it, see if it helps you. It was really a game changer for me. So actually listen to your coach by going in your head and in your own voice as they're talking, repeat what he says as he's saying it. You can do it with me now while I'm bullshitting here. Okay. So just repeat what the guy is saying in your own mind. Simple, powerful, super powerful. So this is a form of modeling, or you could call it mimicking. But in large, this is how you can become good, through imitation. Okay. So you try to do your very best to mimic, model, mirror, match, listen, actively repeat back, do what they're doing. This has served me so well. Okay. This to me is a shortcut, a biohack, or whatever the fuck stupid trendy fucking words you want to say. Oh wait, who is this? He's saying hello, coach. It says Facebook user, but that means you're probably on private. So let me know who this is. I can't see it right now. Anyway, so start listening in an active way if you want to be a great learner. And when I'm saying active, repeat in your own mind as the person is talking, and you will actually be engaged with what the person is saying. Let's see, who was it? Oh, what's up, Keith? Good to see you, brother. What's up, the Dark Wolf? Yeah, man, you were at camp this week, dude. How was that? Did you have a good time? It's good to see you over there. Love Vern's place, man. V10, great place. Marco out in Canada is saying, great podcast yesterday, coach. Thanks. Yeah. So if you guys missed yesterday's podcast, on Instagram, you can scroll down, just see it. It's the background's like this, except I had my No1 hat on. Talking about money. I think there's a lot of information, and this trick of learning how to learn, you might want to watch that. There's a lot of hard-earned knowledge that I've put into that show yesterday. I was just riffing, and I was pretty tired. So I don't know, my memory is as good as it normally is, but Keith is saying, heck yeah, I learned a lot. Good, dude. I was real glad to see you there, man. And like I said, we're going to start running camp. I know you guys got a bunch of fights coming up. So John and I are going to be back there on Wednesday nights to do some wrestling camp for you guys. Anyway, learn how to learn. So one is just simply, if it's somebody speaking or talking, start playing. And it takes a while to get good at it. But now I listen to books on tapes, dude, and I absorb shit like no problem. So what is another way to learn to learn? That was based off of who said, let's scroll back here. Who was saying that? D Sanders 94 said, listen, so I'm going to supercharge your listening with that. Okay. Just start when somebody's talking, repeat that in your own head. Right. So that's one way. What is another way to learn? So when you study the expertise acquisition literature on how to learn, okay, when you start studying that, I don't know if I have any of my books here, otherwise I'd give you the sources. I'll find them, maybe post them up later or something. If you're interested, ping me and I can send, or just go to get my book. It's $7, dude. It's not anything. You get it instant download. Just go Scientific Wrestling into the instructionals. It's right there, first thing at the top of the page. Anyway, the expertise acquisition literature tells you something about deliberate practice. Deliberate practice. What is deliberate practice? Again, just like being actively engaged with listening, it's being actively engaged during practice. So when I'm with somebody, and I did learn this from Billy as well. Now, what I learned from Billy is Billy was an incredible coach, incredible athlete. He had learned how to learn and could teach people how to learn, but he didn't have all the academic bullshit. I am just reinforcing a lot of the things I learned from Billy and some other sources that are backed by academic research. Okay. So deliberate practice is not just the coach says, I'm just picking on a random Taekwondo school. I'm just, because this is how I did Taekwondo for like 3 years, got my black belt. I'm going to be honest, it was great for personal development, all that. Useless when it came to fighting. Absolutely a joke. It gave me a false sense of security when it came to fighting. And I learned that when I wrestled one of my roommates who was a judoka, and he threw me all over the place. Instantly, I was at judo at the Boulder Y the next day, which I think this is another thing. I'll get to deliberate practice in a second, but this is another thing. You have to error correct. You have to have a commitment to facts, to reality, right? So, and test things. So this is part of, I think, philosophy of science and whatnot. And that is that you have to be willing to test things. If you're going to do something or say it, you need to put it up and see if that actually works or not. That's one of the things that I love about catch wrestling. There's no better lab than betting. Betting is great. Okay. Betting really says, man, I've really got to think this out. Now some people are stupid, but those people don't bet for long. So the people who, there's betting markets now, like prediction markets based on betting, in a way, not that dissimilar than derivative markets like options, because, options and futures and forwards and swaps and things of that nature, they're betting positions. If you don't understand that in finance, these are bets that people are placing. And even to a lesser extent, buying a stock is a bet. You don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of people lost their ass in the stock market, right? So there's ways to bet and to do it smart and to learn from the betting. And a lot of that is just doing as much as you possibly can without losing your shit, losing all your money or time or whatever it is on the line. Okay, so putting it on the line, actively listening, deliberate practice. So deliberate practice, you could just go through the motions, like do your combos and your katas and all that kind of shit, like you do, like I'm talking about these dojos. That's cool. But deliberate practice is actually where you are fully engaged. You're fully engaged. And I find that, some people unfortunately miss the boat. They think that sparring or live fighting is deliberate practice. It's not. It's not. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. Drillers or killers. There's all these fucking heuristics to remind us of this from great coaches, right? Because the thing is that repetition is key. Repetition is another huge key. But deliberate practice is drilling in such a manner that it integrates all facts of reality that are possible in the performance situation. I'll give you an example. Almost every time when I run one of my camps, we've been doing these for 15 years. I've been really trying to push people to do a more live form of drilling, because it's one thing to have a technique down. Okay, the mechanics, and you twist it this way, or the angle is this way, or the force vectors are such. That's one thing. But one of the most ignored things that I find are timing. I'm speaking about grappling and wrestling, or timing and balance. And so in doing a deliberate practice for grappling, I'm integrating now balance and timing with a live weight, not shadow boxing, not a dummy, but with another live opponent, giving you realistic resistance and getting your timing, your balance integrated into your technique. Okay. Now, T minus however many seconds till somebody makes a video about that or whatever. I mean, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's all this information's out there if you look for it and you really are serious about learning how to learn and how to improve yourself and improve other people by just the sheer fact of them knowing you. Okay. So active listening, which I think is just the auditory version of deliberate practice, but we could do this in another modality, that like sales training that I do, right? So I help people with sales make more money. This could be solopreneurs, or I teach entire sales departments how to improve. One of the things that you can do is role play, right? So instead of getting on the phone and getting hung up on and wasting all those leads, you practice overcoming objections. You practice the whole process of sales with one of your compatriots, one of your friends, one of your fellow salespeople, and they pretend they're the client, or you pretend you're the client, and you give them hell, and you have to fight to get them the sale. And if you've done sales in a while, some of these nightmare calls, so you can actually give them a realistic thing. Okay, this is what I mean. So active listening, deliberate practice. I also think that having that openness to feedback from reality and from experienced coaches, right? So if you find if somebody is telling you something's not working and you're not aware, you got to listen and be open-minded and try a new modality, a new method. If in the case like me, I thought, oh man, I came back, I was good at striking for being 19 years old and whatever. And I could, under those rules, if we were having boxing matches in the half pipe in my backyard, I was great. I was cleaning up. But the second grappling got involved, I was all over the place. So instantly I got that feedback after I was like, shit, this is a major hole in my game. And so I went and I did everything I could to learn from the best, starting at the Boulder Y under Bern Bush, U.S. Senior Nationals champ, Pedro Sauer in privates, Canseco Munez, Mercado Miguel, Carly Gracie, who's the guy at Half's Place? Starts with a K. Totally spacing him. He's a legend. Great guy. Then I started moving on to wrestling, right? Then I was like, okay, this isn't really what's working for me. I don't feel like this is fitting my style. I'm not advancing fast enough. I think that might be partially because of the belt rank structure. Like they would only feed you at a certain information at a certain rate. Kurt Osiander. Yes, Frankie. Thank you. Yes, Kurt Osiander over at Half's Place down in the Mission of San Francisco. And then I started picking up with guys like Carl and Billy and Dick Cardinal and Gene LaBelle and Mark Schultz and Wade Chalice and really these guys that just, talk about a quick learner. Mark Schultz, I don't even think he was like in high school. I think his last 2 years he wrestled in high school. I think he holds the record for the shortest time of starting wrestling to an Olympic gold medal. I think he still holds that record, Mark Schultz. Fast learner. Look at Wade Chalice, man. Dominated because he went on his own path of discovery, right? So these are the guys. Sure, I love their techniques and I love the things that they discovered themselves. That is fantastic. But I'm also very interested in their process of learning how to learn. Same with Billy. Same with Carl. Okay. Because they had encyclopedic knowledge of this subject. And I'm a good learner. So I'm like, hook me up to the mothership, baby. Let's go. So active listening, deliberate practice, accepting feedback from the universe and from those that are better than you. Okay. And the thing that I think is really super important is the work, repetition. Okay. So Daniel Kahneman, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this guy. I mention him every once in a while. He was a psychologist who actually won the Nobel Prize in economics. But he has this great book that I really recommend to a lot of people. It's kind of wonky. It might be boring to you. I don't know. Maybe get the abridged version, or the Cliff Notes or whatever. But thinking fast and thinking slow, right? So one of my fascinations in learning how to learn, I went deep down the rabbit hole of hypnosis. Like, how does that work? And, once you get past all the bullshit and all the fucking woo-woo mystical crap, really it's just about getting yourself in a calm, peaceful place and quieting all the other monkey mind and listening. That's really what it is. It's a deep calm. It's much closer to meditation than anything else. It's not mind control. And all these people, it's like they kind of create that reality in their own mind, but it's not. Because otherwise all the criminals in the world would just say, you will give me your PIN number. And it doesn't work that way. You can't control anybody else. I talked about this yesterday. But what you can do is you can bang on it hard. And this is what Kahneman talks about. The reason I went there is he doesn't, and I love this shift. It really is congruent with my understanding of the subject, okay, for personal experience and also reaching out and studying all these other people in this study of excellence. That's why I call this number one, right? From no one to number one, right? That's the whole premise of the show is how do you do that? So what he talked about is there's a fast thinking brain and a slow thinking brain. Now, in the traditional dumbass psychology, I'm not a fan of psychology. It's mostly bullshit. Go look up the replication crisis. They found that over 60% of published psychology was not able to be repeated. These experiments, these things people were claiming. And meanwhile, they're prescribing you fucking these drugs that have violent side effects. And we're blaming guns and not the fucking drugs for these violent side effects. I mean, it's a whole fucking shit show. Okay. But thinking fast, thinking slow. Oh, what's Christopher say here? Hey, what's up, Christopher? Great advice to always moving forward and learning. Yeah, thanks, bro. Yeah, I mean, that's it, man. Like, you just got to say, this works, that doesn't work. Einstein, or Edison, sorry. 10,000 attempts, reportedly, to create the light bulb. That means he went through 9,999 or whatever the number is. It was vast of nope, try it again. Nope, do it again. Nope, do it again. And then boom, and now we have the entire world lit. Okay. So this idea of repetition, okay, this is how we move from the slow thinking brain into the fast. Traditional psychology would call it like the subconscious and the conscious and blah blah blah. None of it's fucking proven. It's all bullshit. It's just, we used to talk about the humors in medicine. They're just outdated, stupid concepts. Kahneman really nailed this because, slow thinking is usually considered logical thinking, not necessarily, but it's the plotting, methodical thinking of everything. It takes a long time. But once you've gone through that and you do that with one particular subject over and over and over and over and over and over and over, repetition, do it again, over and over and over again, now you don't have to think about it. Now it moves into the fast thinking part of the brain, the reactive part, right? So much of our lives, if we don't, examine our own lives and our own reactions in our own minds, we're just living in what L. Ron Hubbard, heaven forbid, yes, I'm going to quote the king of Scientology, and one of the founders of NASA, by the way, totally fucking interesting dude. The reactive brain, just the knee-jerk reactions. Okay, so in training, let's use this in athletics or wrestling or MMA or grappling or whatever. Spazzy white belt, right? Everybody knows this person. Like you wrestle, and they're just all the total spaz. They're actually dangerous because they're so fucking crazy and spastic, unpredictable, just wild. Now, 99% of the time, you're going to smoke this person because they're untrained. But this is what we're talking about, isn't it? The training takes the spastic knee-jerk reaction out to where now you could do something really quick that's not natural, maybe like shooting for a double leg. That's not a natural, the level change penetration step. That is not natural. It takes repetition. And then you have to start doing it live, deliberate practice over and 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 over. And then you start to be able to do it. Boom, you see an opening, you go. Does this make sense? Now, this is the same in any domain by and large. So you could do this again, to go back to sales training. You master the sales process. Does this make sense? So, all the processes that you normally have to learn in sales, the greeting, the fact finding, the qualifying the buyer, the making sure they're on the right product, demoing it, trial closes, sending them a proposal, negotiating the proposal, closing the deal, following up, that whole process, that's in my brain. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. So when an opportunity makes itself available, you go. So let's recap. Active listening, deliberate practice, right? Dealing with feedback in a real way, like from a more experienced coach or reality. Fair? And really getting into this idea of the work of repetition. Now, I don't know if this is helping anybody. I hope this is helping you guys out. But, it's also important to learn how to unlearn, right? So how many guys come to practice and they have to unlearn? This is actually something that I find a lot because I coach a wrestling style to grapplers, and many, let's say, folk style wrestlers in the United States, really good.
Having in the next few days. I want you to succeed, which is why we created the pre-training package, right?
Oh, what's going on here?
The pre-training package is only the foundation for you to really understand all the high-level concepts.
That was weird. I don't know if you guys could hear that. That was weird. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. Can you guys hear that on Instagram? I'm not sure. But the point is these folk styles would come in because they want to get in MMA. They unlearn all the wrestling and learn jiu-jitsu. Okay. And they unlearned a lot of the great things that were important to dominate in the sport of MMA. say. Okay. Now, that isn't to say there isn't great things to be learned in the sport of jiu-jitsu. They have all kinds of great techniques and things of that nature, right? Oh, this is so weird. Why is this? What is going on with my Instagram? Bear with me, guys. I've got it because I'm broadcasting out, and I don't know why. So, here we go. Let's see. What is this guy up to, man? He's like invading. All right, guys. Well, listen, I'm not sure exactly what's happening on Instagram. Well, there we go. Now it looks like he stopped. That was the weirdest thing. Super weird. Anyway, so you also have to learn to unlearn. Now, fortunately, a lot of times, unlearning is very easy. You just have to stop doing it first and foremost. Okay, so this is like a habit. Okay, I can't tell you how many people came to see me for like weight loss or smoking or just these habitual things that they had routinized in their mind. The first thing to do is to stop greasing the groove, man. Stop making that pathway. You know, it's like walking in the mountains. If you ever go hiking, if you stop using a trail, eventually the path will grow over and disappear. And this is the same thing. Don't walk that path to cigarette smoking. Don't walk that path to gambling. Don't walk that path to eating too much, to watching too much porno, to playing fucking stupid video games all day, to whatever the thing that's distracting you from becoming great, from becoming number one. So your first stop is to stop, right? You've got to just do whatever it takes to stop. That's huge. So this is why so many people are actually successful if they go cold turkey. But what really happens here is this interplay between thinking fast and thinking slow, right? Because what happens is the methodical mind, let's say something new and unusual, a stress appears. There's a death in the family, you lose your job, there's an unforeseen bill or medical procedure. There's a million fucking things that randomly could happen to people, and they happen every day. That you then have to devote your mental powers to thinking slowly because it's something you're not used to. It's new, it's unusual, it's a stressor. So your methodical brain goes to work on that. And while it's doing that, other shit in life has to happen. So the automatic brain, the brain that just reacts to stuff, takes over while you're working on this stressor. And maybe working on it is just keeping yourself cool and not having like, the quivering sphincter or the bubble guts or any of that kind of stuff, right? Real Coach Coffee. I know this thinking all too well, right? So the thing is when you're working on this new problem, the automated shit takes over, the knee jerk. That's when people grab a cigarette because they're fucking used to doing it. So, setting yourself up so that just can't happen automatically. That's the first thing. The second thing is to start to become aware of the fact. It's like in self-defense, we talk about situational awareness and shit. I'm not a big fan of all this self-defense stuff other than having a concealed carry, a good attorney, and a good pair of running shoes, or a knife. But, they do talk about situational awareness, and it's important. I think it is an important concept. But you have to have it within your own mind when you're worrying about like mental self-defense. So Real Coach Coffee says subconscious mind running the show. Well, and again, I think you might have joined a little late. I don't like most of psychology has been proven wrong. There's something going on right now called the replication crisis. I recommend everybody to Google this because you'll stop listening to these fucking idiots in white lab coats, like the same ones that shut down the whole planet. This is why I was against it. I'm like, this is the stupidest thing. And why you guys are being listened to, I have no fucking idea, because you can't even replicate more than half of your fucking shit that you claim, right? So you are right in one regard, but the subconscious is just bullshit. There's nothing really to prove that that's a real thing. But there's a great guy out there, Daniel Kahneman, won the Nobel Peace Prize in economics, even though he's a psychologist. But for this understanding of biases, okay, and how the mind can trick you into shit. And he talks about the thinking fast and thinking slow is his book. And I think that's a more useful framework, like the automatic mind versus the deliberate mind. instead of conscious, unconscious, because it makes it all murky and weird and creepy. It's not even any bearing on reality. It's very old-fashioned thinking, going back to fucking Freud. Okay, so that guy was like a fucking cokehead. I'm not going to listen to him for much either, right? Who was obsessed with his own mom. And anyway, you've got to just start thinking about like the automatic mind, the deliberate mind, or the slow thinking mind, the methodical, logical mind, and the fast reactive mind, right? Those are easier, more testable, more functional, more modern ways to think about these things. So you need to be aware of this fact that when I'm stressed, I have a propensity to go eat too much or play video games and escape or watch porn or smoke or do weed or drink or gamble or any of these things that people get stuck. But it's really about, a lot of it is about, this is where I think people get confused. It is about language, right? It's about the self conversations we have with ourselves. And a lot of those self conversations are not actually you. They're like excuses and they sound like you, but they're not actually you. I could prove this to you. So I'd have people come in, they want to quit smoking, right? I helped like thousands of people with this. I had a very, very successful practice. I dropped it because I think it's bullshit. I think the coaching model is a much better thing, and it wasn't really around back in the early 2010 when I was doing this. But I would ask them, I'm like, okay, so why are you coming in and why are you paying me all this money? Well, and then they would say, because I want to quit smoking, for example. I say, okay, you want to quit smoking. And they look at me like, yeah, that's just what I fucking said. And I'm like, and yet you keep smoking. And then they start realizing, what is going on here, man? He's right. Why do I have to pay this guy all this money? Because I ain't cheap. But I'm not cheap because I solve problems and I save lives. I can't tell you how many people I saved from cancer getting to quit. I would take routinely, this is a fact, 2-pack-a-day people, and in 2 hours be done forever. No bullshit, no mind control, none of that. Just having them slow their brain down and think about shit like this. This is what I would say. So you want to quit, and yet you drive to the store, you get out of the car, you ask the guy for a pack of Marlboro Reds, you reach into your pocket and you pay him money. I mean, all these are decisions you're making, and yet you're making a counter decision. I mean, so clearly there's something going on here. Then I discuss their triggers. Triggers, again, are just these stressful events that they have to think about that are tough, and maybe they have a problem-solving job, and so they're constantly in that mode. Or they're a programmer, and they're constantly deeply having to think about new concepts and stuff, and the routine mind just takes over, right? Because they're so deep in this other problem-solving mind. It's about getting that reconciliation. It's about the language, and more important than the language, it is the agreements. I talk about this all the time. Your agreements with yourself. You have to take them serious. We all understand the importance of living up to our agreements with other people, right? Well, it's more important even. It's super important to live up to your agreements to other people. That's where your reputation comes from. Okay? If you wonder why people don't like you or whatever, you need to check out what's going on with your agreements. Are you living up to your agreements? Are you ghosting people? Are you one of those fucking dummies that people are trying to communicate with you and help you or get into some sort of mutual exchange where there's positivity, both win, and you're ghosting people? Dude, your reputation, you've got real deep problems. Okay? But they're not psychological, talking about your mommy or some drinking problem. You have a problem with integrity. You have a problem with your agreements, and you have a problem probably with your agreements with yourself. Okay. MNZ3354 says, Coach, I like the catch approach to grappling, but I do jiu-jitsu right now. Do you cross train? Fuck yeah, dude. You got to grapple. Okay. So the challenge that we have as catch wrestlers is that we are not the popular modality right now, right? Billy would tell me all the time when he was in the 60s, like just like there's strip mall McDojos everywhere, these jiu-jitsu places and all the strip malls you can go get a workout in, which is fantastic. I love that. And by the way, somebody said that I bash jiu-jitsu. I'm so fucking sick of that. I love jiu-jitsu. I think it's a fantastic thing. So unless you can come at me with some fucking proof, just shut the fuck up with that, because I think jiu-jitsu is fantastic. Okay? Play this part of the fucking tape. Okay? But so jiu-jitsu is popular and everywhere right now. So as a result, you've got to go train there. The challenge is some people are not as open-minded and they just want to do what they want to do. And I understand that, and you have to respect that. It's their gym, it's their dojo. So you're better off, in my opinion, where I've found more success for catch wrestling is in MMA gyms, because they're not as structured around a belt system curriculum. They just want people to fucking win. It's like a boxing gym. They're like, come in, learn to box. Somebody's going to pick you up and coach you and help you. And then you can start making bookings and see how serious you are about this and work your way up into the system. Okay. So it's a prize fighting mentality. So you might now, so just get in and go, like you can go and learn techniques on some of the scientific wrestling material. Go to scientificwrestling.com, get the instructionals. You can become a member of scientificwrestling.com. I have a ton of shit inside there. Billy Robinson, Josh Barnett, Wade Chalice, Carl Gotch, Dick Cardinal, all these tons and tons of material. And then take it back and try it. Now, some of it, they might be pissed at you. Now, fortunately, leg locks are now a little more accepted, so you probably won't get in as much trouble for leg locks. But some of the other things we do, Nelsons and some of the pressure and toe holds and small, wrist locks, you still might get neck cranks. You might catch some heat for all that, but you can still go practice. That's what I would suggest. And then get to a camp and try to find like-minded people. Maybe go to an MMA gym that these guys are more interested in just whatever works, and not necessarily some 10-year retention program built around belts, like this gamification with badges and shit. I understand that. I mean, you have to do that if you run retail martial arts programs. I'm just saying kind of how it is. I'm just pulling back the screen a little bit on the business. So that's what I would recommend. Okay. Smoke says, what is the best channel for tutorials breakdown that you recommend? Dude, at this point in the game, I don't really watch those, and I'm like, YouTube is more like my kids. I do get on there sometimes, I post shit, but I'm more of a producer of social media than consumer these days. So I'm partial kind of to the material that BJJ Fanatics puts out. I have curated a list of what I think are the best instructionals put out by catch guys. You can go to scientificwrestling.info. That's actually the blog for Scientific Wrestling. I don't post a lot on there, but I try to post high quality material. On there, I have a list of all the stuff that I recommend that you check out at BJJ Fanatics with regards to catch wrestling to improve your grappling. I don't know if that'll help, but it's not free. But, here's the other thing. You get what you pay for, okay? I see all these people. I have these guys try to come to my camps, and they act like, I've got 1 million viewers. You should let me. Like, I don't care. I don't care. You get what you pay for, man. So, and that's why I charge a lot. It's the truth. One of my financial mentors, Grant Cardone, billionaire, had a great saying, and this has been so true. Every time I've tried to train somebody for free, they've all been fucking losers. I'm sorry, they are. And that's if somebody has no money, I've done it, and I still do it from time to time. But if you can't figure out how to make some money, it's not hard. Go listen to my show yesterday. It's all about money. It was like over an hour talking about everything. Like, what is money? How do you make money? How do you not get scammed by people? Like, it's, I would check it out. But if this is what Grant says, if they don't pay attention. They're not invested. And I think that's really true. Some of my best students are ones that have really partnered with me, have really thrown in, okay, because they really want to know the material. And they realize the blood, sweat, and tears, and the amount of money I've spent to learn this stuff, on top of the time and the work. I mean, I don't know anybody who's produced more material than me on this subject, personally, produced it. So, I mean, you can look at just all the shit on scientific wrestling, including the books, including all the training camps that I've done. I mean, it's a lot. Okay. So, to just, I don't know. I don't know about YouTube. I'm sure there's some great guys out there. Go figure it out. I would just at least invest a little bit in your skills and a little bit in your personal development, your self-development. And I'm not even saying buy my shit. I'm just saying go, you get what you pay for. The best, it's going to take a little bit of work, right? So I wish I had something better. You could check out the Scientific Wrestling YouTube. I put up a bunch of shit there. Trying to think who else. I mean, some of our guys have YouTubes, like Sam Crescent. I don't know how much he's posting instructional material. Like I said, I'm not up there all the time. I wish I had a better answer. I'm sorry, Smoke. I wish I had a better answer for you. Anyway, guys, so learn how to learn. You've got to do deliberate practice. You've got to actively listen. You've got to listen to feedback from the universe and from people better than you or more experienced than you. And you've got to really put in the work. You've got to do the repetition, like a lot, to move it from the slow to the reactive. So it's automatic. You understand? That's where victory is going to come in. This is why. Do you know? Okay. So everybody is like, oh man, wrestling is the best base to win in MMA. And it's true. You can look at the statistics, not even controversial. But why? Why? First of all, we can reverse engineer what I just talked about. Your average high school wrestler, let's say he starts in junior high and just goes through college, or goes through high school. Doesn't even go through college. Okay, let's say it's 3 years as a middle schooler and 3 years as a high schooler. That's 6 years. And let's say he wrestles all 6 years. Okay, and then doesn't even go on to college. I mean, we'll do the math with the college guys too. Okay, let's say that 6 years and then 4 years of college. Now they got 10 years of wrestling. But it's not just like equivalent to 10 years of jiu-jitsu. Your guy who's done 10 years of jiu-jitsu, let's say he does, I don't know, 10, let's be generous, super generous, 10 tournaments a year. After 10 years, 100 competitions. Way to go, pal. In 10 years, 100 competitions. That guy who's a high schooler or a college wrestler, he's done 60 or 70 every year from 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th for 10 years. So while you've done 100, he's done 700 to 1,000. Okay? So repetition. Who do you think is going to win? The guy who's done it 100 times or the guy who's done it 1,000 times? I'm going to bet on the 1,000-time guy. Okay? Second, all they care about is winning. They don't care about, hey, this is your belt and you can't do this, that, and the other thing. They're like, here you go. Go. Don't die. Right? So, you get a lot more feedback. You get a lot more coaching. A lot of it does have to do with what Billy would tell me on learning how to learn. Do it again. Right? I even got it tattooed. And the hopes that it would get out of my mind and get on my arm, but it's still stuck in my head. Do it again. And then do it again. And do it again. And then when you win, do it again. Win again. Right? So I hope this helped you guys. If you got something out of it, give me a shout in the comments. I appreciate you guys tuning in for so long. I know I just get bullshit and I can't stop, especially when it's about stuff I care about. And if I can help you guys, I am here. That's what I do. Is especially with regards to performance, with regards to business and grappling. It's just my big passions in life. Outside of my family, I'm like a family man, number one. But after you guys, after my family. I love grappling and I love business, probably equally. It's like twins. I can't pick one. So, you guys have a fantastic day. Fantastic Thursday, rest of your Thursday. Is it Thursday or is it Wednesday? I can't even, at this point, I can't even remember. Oh, it's Wednesday. Holy shit. All right. So, you guys have a great Wednesday. Make the most of your Thursday. And I will see you guys tomorrow.